Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of HLTV Confirmed. We got rid of Banks. We didn't get rid of him. He's busy. So I guess the kids are running amok here in the house. I tried to get XXX Hoshi on as a guest. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a hold of him in time. So you're stuck with the three of us this evening as we're going to delve into some interesting topics. We obviously have Striker and we have Prof here, the usual crew. And look, listen, guys, should we get this one out of the way quickly so people can sync it up, can tune it in, and we'll wait till the game goes live. But tonight, what we're going to do is, because IP versus phase games on 95% of people watching that, what I would like you to do is load up the YouTube stream for it, gaming.youtube.com/faceit, and we're going to sync it up. We're going to watch the game while we talk. Anyway, hello. Congratulations, you're both alive.
So far. I mean, we'll see in about an hour if I'm still in that state, but
I think
so
we
far
can't
pretty
really sync it up yet since the game isn't live. So
Exactly.
Like, what can we sync it up like if?
yeah,
We'll
let's just wait until it goes live. Yeah,
Pistol round and we'll get going from there. So we are encouraging the members of chat to come along with us because we'll be reacting and talking about the game as it happens. So I don't know if anybody follows Joe Rogan podcast, but we're going to do it in a similar to a fight companion type situation. But we have the breaking news. DJ, hit that funky tune. Oh, hold up. I've really thrown the producer under the bus here. Here it comes.
Drop it.
That's what we needed. It puts everyone in the mood for some news. And the news right now that's come on out from DK, a source that is reliable or unreliable, it really depends on the way you look at it, has said that there are murmurs of Sunny going to ENCE. Now, we discussed this previously when we talked about ENCE's run. Let's start with Prof. Any validity to this in your opinion?
I think it could be, even though like both Sunny and ENCE have meanwhile come out to say that nothing. I mean, Sunny didn't say anything. He just kind of implied that nothing is going on with like a "what the fuck is going on" tweet, and then ENCE's CEO or someone higher up in ENCE said like, we're not discussing any players going anywhere. So there's of course a shadow of doubt always.
We've heard that before, though. So that. I mean, could just be them blowing up smoke up our asses, right? But at this point, it seems like it's a possibility at least, right?
Yeah. Smoke out of their asses, fire out of their asses. We'll have a lot of that in the show today.
The thing is here, in my opinion, it doesn't even really matter if they change player or not, because now, if they go into the next tournament and they underperform, it's going to be, well, they should have got Sunny. Or if they go into the tournament with Sunny instead of someone else and they underperform, it's going to be, well, they should have stuck with the roster that came second in the major. No matter what happens with ENCE right now, unless they perform again with the current team that they have to a very high standard, there's going to be a negative stigma around them, right? That's going to exist regardless, purely because a lot of people are looking at what they did at the major run and saying it's not going to be able to replicate that. And we spoke about this previously in that form. I think that the murmurs around Sunny going to Cloud9, if Cloud9 are unable to work out a buyout with Mouse Sports, then I don't think ENCE have the same bankroll as what Cloud9 do to be able to purchase a player like that. So for whatever reason, that may or may not be happening. Obviously, we don't have the inside information ourselves, but I think that for Sunny, it would be a shame for him to have to sit out a period of time without competing. And I think eventually he probably will want to go back to ENCE, and eventually ENCE will have roster changes. That's just the way the cookie's going to crumble. I just think in this current juncture, there's a lot of moving parts going on right now and a lot of different things that could unfold. So I don't know. Do you guys see, if you guys had to hedge on this, if you had to, say, like, give it a percentage of what chance it is that he would go to ENCE in the next couple of weeks, or even maybe I'll give it as long as the next month. Do you think it's, how possible do you think it is with a percentage?
How possible the move is?
Yeah.
Just because of the financial situation, I'm just gonna give it maybe 20% at best. I feel like it might be they might be discussing a potential the potential price of the move, but I feel like it will still probably be over the top for an organization like ENCE. So I'd give it a solid 20. Yeah.
20%.
Yeah.
That's also kind of where I would put it. Somewhere in that range.
Would you say more, Spins, or what?
Look, I'd probably go 50-50. I think
really?
that, yeah, because imagine this, right? You've got the pressure from the players. Some of the players in the team, they might not get along. We don't know the social standing, right? But imagine if Alu is like, yo, I want Sunny. And then he convinces Lexi B, yo, we need Sunny. And then now you've got, a good portion of the team wanting Sunny. And if there's a bit of, I guess, argy-bargy in the ranks and people aren't getting along, then they're not going to have the results anyway. So now that this is just an underlying issue, how are you keeping the mentality of the team straight? That's why I'm saying 50-50. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, as I said in the last episode, I think even though they finished second, if they can get Sunny, they should get Sunny, just because their ambition, Alwa's ambition, and the young guys as well, they want to win, and they need to do everything in their power to win, and that is getting Sunny, getting the best Finnish player there is right now. I don't think there is really I mean, there's always a discussion, but in my mind, it's like a no-brainer to get Sunny if he is available. But I think the problem for me is what Striker also said, is the financial side. Of course, I have no idea how ENCE functions, how much money they do have or don't, but this, if they can get someone that is, if they can get new sponsors, then it's now, because they have like one of the best StarCraft players in the world, potentially the best at the moment. Their CS team went to the final of the major. Like all of the mainstream Finnish like television is broadcasting about them, obviously. So this is the greatest time for them to get more money and get a new sponsor, investment, whatever, and then they can obviously make a move like getting Sunny. So
would that be so fast though? I'm not so sure. I mean, that's a fair point for sure. Like I feel like it could happen like down the line, especially if Sunny does not end up on Cloud9, and it seems like that just fell through, right? And you also have to ask yourself why that fell through. Was that because the negotiations between the organizations didn't really go according to plan from Cloud9, or whatever happened, right? That's the other thing that you kind of have to consider. Because if Cloud9, for example, wanted Sunny a little bit cheaper and Mouse didn't want to budge, then I don't see an organization like ENCE being able to top that, right? So that is just like the main issue for me, because it did, by everything that we heard, it did look like Sunny was just like a set thing to go to Cloud9, and suddenly that fell through. That's a little bit suspicious to me.
I think that the Cloud9 situation is a curious one. I don't know if they even know what direction they want to go in right now.
Yeah.
So it's a wait and see type of moment. But I guess what we can do is kind of blur the lines of the breaking news across to three. Well, it's more like two roster changes. The third one we'll get to later in the show. I'm going to just speak them to the world, and you guys can pick and choose where you want to go with this. We've obviously got stavn joining Heroic on trial, and then we have G2 announcing AmaNEk in replace of bodyy, and bodyy is playing the last tournament with G2 right now.
The game is live. Actually.
Oh, okay.
The game is live.
This is perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, gaming.youtube.com/faceit. Load that one up. I'm going to pause it right now. I've paused it on 1 minute and 2 seconds, so let me know when everyone's there.
I'm there.
Prof, you good?
I'm in front of you. I'll just catch up in like 5 seconds.
You're in front of me?
0. I didn't get the pause in time.
All right, ready? Here we go. Let's kick off 3, 2, 1, go.
There we go.
So obviously we do have that ECS thing going. We'll just talk quickly about G2, AmaNEk, and stavn to Heroic, those two little topics there, and then we'll actually move on to ECS conversation anyway. So Take this one away, Striker.
Look, I'll start with stavn because I feel like the caveat to that is that BlameF has apparently taken over leadership, which is a curious situation for me, because he's basically just entered the lineup. He's entered as like a clear star player, right? As the boost in firepower, and suddenly he goes over to the in-game leadership role, which has basically allowed for this change, right? They were able to remove Asilian and get stavn instead. I just don't see why they didn't just revert to Esatag calling, because he did that before. As he was like switching over to the op, he started calling as well. Then it just went back to Asilian as they got him. But he obviously has some experience with that role, which I'm not sure how much BlameF has. So that's the big problem for me, and that the big question mark that we're gonna have to see going into it. But just generally, stavn. Obviously, he's another one of those youngsters, like in a league with like Sergey, in the league with Frozen, those young guys. I think he's also 16 or 17 now. I'm not sure. I think he's 16 still. So he's obviously in the long term. He's a good addition, and even in the short term, like we've seen him do really well at Valencia last year and a couple of other events. So I feel like he could grow into a really, really good player. At this point, I just feel like they could have cause problems with the in-game leadership role, though.
Just quickly to people in the chat before we go, people are saying that ECS is now on Twitch as well. We're aware it's just easier to sync it up on a platform like YouTube. So anyway, sorry, Prof, keep going.
Yeah, I think it's cool. On one hand, obviously the Fragsters team is now officially absolutely dead. It's not going to come back. X-Fragsters are now like 3 players, with only 2 of those players actually playing in Fragsters last year. Refresh is an Optic. stavn is now stavn, or whatever, however they Danes pronounce that. Is in Heroic, and who's the third guy that left the team? I can't remember now.
Boopski?
Modi. Oh wait, no,
Boopski,
sorry, I was thinking
Boopski,
around the wrong team.
Yeah, Boopski is just in no man's land. He took that break for personal reasons and health reasons, whatever. So that team kind of died, which is expected in a way. I guess they expected that they can find a new organization. The whole thing was that they kind of had a salary in Fragsters, but they weren't happy, so they wanted more. And then, of course, they couldn't find anyone to give them more, and it fell apart. So
you're also thinking about Dragonfly, by the way. Dragonfly
Yeah,
and Torben
the
are the
Orca,
other
right?
2 guys.
yeah, they're the 2 guys that are left there, kind of
Yeah.
in that team, which is kind of now a mixed team. They have some decent places like ESCA, MDL, and stuff like that, but I don't see that as a team with a lot of future. But it is interesting that stavn then left his brother,
Yes.
Dragonfly his brother, right? So
Yep.
they kind of split ways. That's kind of the big thing that a lot of people expected would never happen, or whatever. I don't know. So I don't know. It's good to see him have a chance to develop further. How that will impact the whole team with in-game leading and all of that, that's a whole different discussion that I don't know enough of that about those players to even speculate how it will go.
Yeah, it feels like there's
just-
a massive.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit worried that it will end up like with the players just having the role as a hot potato, as we saw with other teams before, even with Heroic actually, when they were just kind of like bouncing it around. So that's my worry for the next couple of months, that like Blamef will just suddenly realize, oh, he can't do it, and then I don't know, Esatag will probably step forward and say he can go back to it, and God knows where that ends. So that's my main worry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Blamef did call in Epsilon before.
Did he?
though. I'm pretty sure.
I'm curious
that he did.
about that, because I'm not sure.
Even still, even if he was in game leading, I think that at this point, Heroic need to kind of find a trajectory, right? Because they've moved all these pieces of the puzzle around now. They got rid of Vasilian, they got rid of Modi, they brought in all these different faces and names, and it's almost a completely different team to what we would have seen a year ago, right? So
Yeah.
at this point, they're not a springboard for North, and they're not a springboard for Astralis definitely anymore. They need to kind of set their own standard here, because this sounds ridiculous, but nobody's getting into Astralis. The next person who goes to Astralis is probably Valde. There's no other, and they have no reason to change roster.
Yeah.
North seem pretty content with where they are right now. The fact that they're changing coaching staff, we know that there's definitely potential there within that roster. So now it's Heroic, who obviously Optic as well, but they're in the same position. So it's kind of those two, which are the teams who are going to get all the new young talent. I'd be curious to see where that goes. But this isn't really new young talent, but we obviously have AmaNEk, who was in Misfits, part of the Devaduvek AmaNEk French invasion of the US. And AmaNEk's actually the one that's been picked up for G2, which I think is a curious choice there. I would have actually gone for Devaduvek if it was up to me.
We were even talking about this like in the last episode, weren't we?
Yeah.
Just before this was announced,
Like,
you were
that
talking
is
about
that is
Devaduvek.
not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, but I mean, no, that wasn't about G2. That was about Vitality, though. I think you were talking about Vitality and what they could change.
to Vitality, as one of the players.
Then obviously AmaNEk went to G2, so it's still like your wish could still come true. I mean, this one, I guess it's also going to be a little bit weird in roles, just because AmaNEk, especially in Misfits, but I mean, even in LDLC, he was this kind of like very free player who was just like almost really willing to do anything, or not willing to do anything. He was allowed to do anything he wanted, basically. He was very free, roaming around the map, just trying to find plays and stuff like that. So to how that's going to fit with G2, who already have like 2 fairly individualistic players, is going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I think that at least from my looking into the games that I had seen them play, even though the rating is higher on a player like AmaNEk, I just think that Devaduvek is going to fit the role better. But I guess it's just another wait and see. G2, they're still going to rely heavily on Shox and Kenny to be the fragging powerhouse, while everybody else kind of acclimatizes to this level of Counter-Strike.
AmaNEk could help with that for sure, though.
Yeah,
AmaNEk was always
mid-20s,
the
right?
I'm sorry?
He's like in his mid-20s right now, so he's
I
not a
think
young
he's pretty
player.
old, so
Yeah.
he is pretty old, like for basically a rookie in the top tier scene. But still, like in both of those teams that I was watching him like the most in, which is like Misfits and LDLC, he was like the biggest fragging power of those teams, quite by far, like consistently. So that's definitely going to show on G2 as well. It's just that, like I said before, like with the roles, it's just going to be interesting whether he'll actually be allowed to do what he wants, because we know G2 like to have like their system and don't really want other people to meddle with it. So I'm just curious about that.
All right,
Really,
well,
I mean, also this change kind of came from the coach. That is what they at least wrote in the announcement, which implies that they're going down the Astralis route of AmaNEk having the power over the whole roster, and that like I don't think that the team actually wanted to cut Body. I think they were kind of happy with what they had. Oh, we made like top 16 of the major. We have a spot in the next one. But then AmaNEk kind of came in and was like, okay, we need to improve faster than this, and we need someone new. And the reason why we actually thought AmaNEk wouldn't get a shot on either Vitality or G2, I mean, we didn't mention G2, but it's the same thing, is that there were some rumors about him like socially not fitting into teams, being like something not being good about him, that people don't want to play with him. So does that then mean that kind of the French scene moved past that point of like the social stuff, or at least G2 now moved past that point, that they're just going to get the best player? Doesn't matter if maybe they don't like him as much, or how is it going to work well? Maybe it's not going to work well because now Shocks, NES aren't going to be feeling it. I'm not sure, but I think that's an interesting part about the whole thing and how that will develop further. Because on paper, as a player, I think he's the best player you could get by far.
Well, I'm just saying, hopefully that it is a top-down approach, though, because we've seen the players make decisions on the roster changes recently, and how that's failed miserably, hasn't it? I think you could definitely say that Smith's and existence coming into the roster really brought them nothing, which sucks to say, but that feels like that was the case. So now I guess Ocelot and co have gone with a new take. Maybe we'll look towards, like we just spoke about, the Astralis of the world, and see if they can mimic a similar style to that. But right now, if you are keeping up with the Counter-Strike, we are on round number 5, FaZe versus NIP. I'm about 1 minute 40 into it, so you sync yourself up. I haven't seen anything crazy happen just yet, but NIP are getting
NIP has 4 frags combined.
It's not ideal.
Yeah. They're getting picked apart in Banana all the time as well, like from what I've just picked up.
This could be our segue right now into the ECS Season 7. So what we're talking about here is the initial impressions of the format, and if you guys missed it, basically what ECS have done is they have 5 weeks of competition, but they're different cups, I guess. They're different bracket stages where 8 teams compete, and the first place team from the first 3 weeks, they qualify for the finals in both the North American and the European region, so that's 6 squads. And then the last 2 weeks in each region, you're playing for placing and points from, I believe it's points from over the 3 previous weeks, and whoever has the most at the end of it qualifies as well. Yeah. So that's how they're aiming to get the slots filled for the ECS finals. I just wanted to get the hot take of you guys seeing this, because I watched the opening games of this, and it was good Counter-Strike. People were actually giving a fuck.
Yeah. It's just different when you actually have something on the line. Like in the leagues, we had the problem of like what do individual games mean, right? Like you only get to experience like the impact of it at the end of the season, where like some certain wins could have like a lot of impact on whether you actually go through to the LAN finals or not. Here it's basically every game counts, like literally every game counts, not the bullshit that we always not we, but that is always said on the leagues, that every game counts. Of course it does in the end, but it's this just feels a lot more impactful.
No, I watched the FaZe versus Pro game. Was the best online CS of like the top tier online CS I've watched in I don't know how long. Like since online leagues were actually mattered. Like the first was the Fragbite leagues, and those leagues are when we had like 5 big LANs a year. That's the last time I felt like okay, this is kind of good. This is exciting to watch. You actually see them giving. I mean, the match was kind of weird, and there were a lot of fails, weird stuff going on. The Nico hard carrying. But it was exciting to watch. You knew that this means something. It's not like, okay, they lost, they won, whatever. We'll see in 3 weeks if it matters or it doesn't matter. So I'm enjoying watching this for now. We'll see how it develops, and especially the last two weeks are going to be interesting.
Yeah, so right now, just for those of you who aren't aware, you will be witnessing it's a semi-final matchup, if I'm reading things rightly, between NIP and FaZe, and then the winner of that will go and play Astralis within the grand final of the first week. I think there's also prize money on the line, so depending on where you place, you earn a little bit of cash. So I don't think it's a huge amount, but I think it's just an incentive to have people continue to come back. And then I'm hoping what happens is, because look, someone can correct me. I've read a lot of things in my life, and I think I was reading that if you qualify, let's say Astralis qualify, they could still play next week if they want and just try and win the prize money. But I I hope that they don't. And the reason I say I hope that they don't is not because I don't want to see them play more, because I love watching Astralis play Counter-Strike. I don't, even if FaZe win, doesn't matter who wins. If Nip win, whatever, it doesn't. My point is that I would like to see fresh teams come through every time. I don't think that, obviously, that the reason they don't want to exclude teams is because they still want them to have an opportunity to compete as much as they would like to, which is cool. But I hope that they don't, because it's unnecessary. The thing that the players wanted to do was, have less games played. This definitely allows that. If you qualify in the first week and you get through all those best of threes, you 2-0 them. That's not a lot of CS, and you qualified for the finals. You get to sit back, you get to rest. So hopefully we do see that transpire. I also think what's cool is it's forcing the players to take the environment that was slowly trickling off to not being serious at all, and now use it as a proper practicing ground to give it, they're probably not giving it 100%. I'm not going to sit here and say they're giving an online game 100%, but they're probably giving the online game previously in a regular season game of Pro League or Face It, ECS, maybe like 60%.
Yeah,
now,
I was going to give it like 50, 60, yeah.
Yeah, now I hope, they're going to at least, 80 plus. And that's going to mean we're going to get a better brand of CS. We're going to see more things being used, and everybody wins. ECS get a much better broadcast going on. They get more viewers. The casters are going to be more involved, more hype for every game because everything means something. The storylines are better. This is just a win-win for everybody right now, and I think it's a really good initiative from Faceit. So I guess we can wait to see how that one develops. Obviously, we can talk about if they called it the Pinnacle League, or the Pinnacle, it's the qualifier stage. That's the one. So there's even a qualifier stage for the qualifier, and that's where AmaNEk, they managed to come through that, and they pushed. They had a stand-in. They did have Sanji playing because Fitch was unable to get into the match.
They've had that for a while now.
Sanji playing?
Yeah, they've had it for like a week or something, maybe a little bit more even.
Interesting.
Yeah, he played like a GG.BET Cup and some other online stuff as well.
Definitely seems like more than just like a temporary thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that would be some interesting news if that was to come on out, because I think this AmaNEk roster is very exciting to watch, and it's not that I think Fitch is a liability. When we highlight him on analyst desks, you see him having very important multi-kills, but Sanji seemed like he fit in like a glove. I didn't feel like they were hampered at all with his addition. I didn't check the stats after to see if he was anchoring.
He was the in-game leader, by the way, so that could also... He was the in-game leader in Simon, as far as I remember. I hope I'm not wrong in this, but I'm quite sure that from talking to Torik.
Well, AmaNEk's roster on HLTV.org right now
does have Sanji, right?
Have Sanji in it. Hasn't been any official news coming out, right?
It was only said that Fitch was going to take a break or something, then like take some rest, but nothing was really said about Sanji or anything like
Just
that.
Just a sly move.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I'm not sure why we changed the roster.
Yeah, Sanji is the in-game leader.
That's not what we usually do.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, depends on whatever. I don't know.
Someone is getting fired again.
We'll investigate it. It's not the end of the world. But
Sanji was the in-game leader in Simon, though, so that's one thing that could be also taken into consideration. Maybe he's taking over. Maybe they just wanted to get an actual in-game leader instead of having James kind of like be like both the star player and the in-game leader at the same time. They already had it again like a hot potato with Kickert. They were just throwing it between each other as well. So that just could be like their main motivation, that they actually wanted to get some decent in-game leader.
Wouldn't be a bad shout at all. Just before something's happening on my laptop. Never mind.
While you have this break, we can give a shout out to Antelope Guy, our subscriber on Twitch, perhaps the first one ever. We can't confirm, but
I
think we had one before, but it's like maybe one over the past 20 episodes. Oh, that was Martin? Yeah. Okay.
With the ECS conversation, is there anything else that we want to talk about with that? I think maybe
a lot of things. Just about AmaNEk, just touching on that. Like every time I talk to like Kickert, it's like, okay, you're the in-game leader. It's like, no. Now James is calling again. Yeah. And then I go up next time. Okay, so James is the in-game leader. No, I'm calling again. We had a talk with our coach. He said, Kickert, you call. I'm like, okay. And every fucking tournament I talk to him, it's someone else. So
he even said to me that at the minor, I think, at the CS,
at the CS minor. Every time.
It's just like, we change leaders all the time.
Other than that, we saw from the Pinnacle Cup 4s, actually, the Russian team finished first, tied first with Valiance, but Valiance went to WESG, so they had to skip their chance to kind of play this cup, and then AmaNEk came in instead of them, because AmaNEk is also from the Pinnacle Cup, and the Virtus Pro was the relegation team. I think they were like 9th or 10th, so the 8 teams skipped this opportunity to play the first one. I can't really, off the top of my head, see who it was. It was FnaTIC and a couple of other teams that skipped the first cup.
Isn't
so
LDLC in there? Oh.
LDLC is, and they played it though.
Oh, never mind.
But
So
some other teams also skipped it, so that's
look,
that's
I
kinda where
don't
it
blame
is.
them for skipping it with Astralis playing in the opening one. Let Astralis have
Yeah.
it. Avoid the heartbreak. Save yourself a couple of best of threes, and then after that get stuck in. But the fact that only 3 teams make direct qualifiers is quite important, because you think who's going to step up to the plate of the next one. Navi had that whole post about they were unable to play, scheduling issues or whatever. We don't know obviously the extent of all that stuff, but they're another team who might be able to come in and get themselves a qualification spot through this. So see how it all unfolds.
It's Mouse Sports, Optic, that's also in China, and who did I say? And FnaTIC, also in China, that skipped the first cup.
Well, that Mouse Sports roster should probably be announced very shortly, one would assume.
Probably.
They're obviously practicing together. We have that news coming through. Lucas, our producer, was able to link the prize money breakdown. So the cup for first place is 12k, and second is 5k. So nice little chunk of change there.
I mean, it's not gonna make a difference to the top teams, but if some of the lower tier teams, especially down the line, like towards the end, where not all the top teams are there, and when they've already made it through, basically, like for those teams, it's gonna make some difference actually. Especially if they go far, because 12,000, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a nice little bit of money there.
Oh,
do you have anything else, Prof, or you happy?
You wanted to talk about
I
Liquid,
think
didn't you?
we had the
Liquid
NA
sucked,
portion,
right?
because we only looked at the EU bracket now, but yeah, Liquid got upset in the first round of the qualifier, which is kind of, we expected them to go through, get the first, just like we expect in Europe, Astralis to go through. The NA one doesn't look that hot, especially with Cloud9 skipping, I think, because they still didn't figure out their roster, and MIBR being in China, you see like Liquid, this must be a win for them, but they go and play Rogue, which currently I think 90th in the world, because they didn't play in a long time. Their ranking just fell hard, and of course MSL tweeted about it, but I think it's like a fair way. He just said it's kind of unfair to sometimes to invite based on HLTV rankings, considering half of the teams didn't play anything, and the teams that did played like MDL or like some low tier leagues that Rogue aren't playing at the moment, and people shit on him as they always do, even when he's completely fair with some criticism. But yeah, his team just beat Liquid, and they're through to the semifinals, I think.
Even further,
the grand finals.
Luminosity there, and they beat Luminosity 2-0.
It's supposed to NRG, right?
Final.
NRG
Not yet.
today.
It's not yet.
NRG Complexity is the semi that's going to be played.
That's
I got ahead of myself, didn't I? But that one there will be an interesting one. I think Tarek's addition to that NRG team is going to be quite nice. I think it should work out. With the comment that the MSL made about with the HLTV.org rankings, I question at some point, obviously not his logic, because that's fine, but there's so many Counter-Strike teams out there, you have to use something as a benchmark, right? And at some point, lines have to be drawn. If you did qualifiers for every single portion of every single tournament that happened year round, you would never actually get to the main tournament, right? And this is why people are talking about different, I remember somebody was complaining around the time of the minors, and they weren't happy that you could get through with the best of ones, right? It was 2 best of ones, and you could be through from the winner portion. But with the best of one situation, that was on the last chance qualifier. You get through 2 best of ones. That's how Winstrike got through. They won the 2 BO1s and they were through. But the thing is, you can only put so many gateways, and you can only have so many selection processes. Things are going to be missed. People are going to slip through the gaps. And there's always plenty of opportunities. There's always next week. And I know that sounds like a bad way to look at it, but in Counter-Strike, when you have so many tournaments and so many different leagues and abilities to compete, you're always going to find a way. And if you're a good team and you get it to one of these tournaments, that's where you have to make your mark. That's where you need to go, okay, we need a top 2 placing, or we need to cause an upset. It's not just about... You can't have parity everywhere. It doesn't work like that. I feel that people need to understand that for the longest time, VP, even though they were on the rocks, kept getting invited to tournaments. Why the fuck do you think that was? It's because they have a massive fan base. And it sucks that the world works that way, but that's how money is made. And that is what makes the world go round. And unfortunately, people need to make money. That's just it, right? So to have tournament organizers, to have different events looking to have the higher brand name teams, coming into their tournaments off notoriety or off placings in the rankings like HLTV.org, somewhere along the lines, you kind of have to just say, okay, well, we can't have qualifiers for everything. People just need to be able to accept that, because that's just life sometimes.
Yeah.
Bitches.
100% agree with all of what has been said.
I think there are some like outliers where you can clearly see that some teams are. If you just take some time to look at it, you'll see that you're gonna invite a NA mixed team that played like 5 maps in an open qualifier, and because of that, they're ranked higher than some team that has like ECS spot, EPL spot. At that point, you should realize this team in EPL is probably better, has more brand value, has better names, better players. Then you don't have to blindly follow the HLTV rankings
Of course.
if you think it's not up to date. But I think people just feel they're giving away the responsibility to someone else, and that's what tournament organizers and people in general like to do. It's like, oh, it's not our fault. This is the HLTV ranking. We're following this. We didn't do any decisions on ourselves. This is completely objective, and you can't say anything. And it's like, okay, but like, you aren't paying us to do that. You're just using something that's out there for free. So it's not our responsibility to ensure you have the best possible teams in your tournaments.
Everybody likes a scapegoat, right? I think if you looked at the rankings right now of just the top 30, and I said Sprout, do you think Sprout are better than MSL's team Rogue? And I would say no, I don't think Sprout are better than Rogue at all, and they're ranked 27th in the world. So obviously there's lots of different things that come into consideration, and you're right. People should use the rankings, I think, as a benchmark, but don't put the onus, don't put the responsibility on HLTV.org. Use a little bit of judgment, and you're always going to upset somebody. That's the thing with the internet. That's the thing with the world. You're always going to upset somebody, no matter how political you try and be about it, no matter how many Cloud9 fans you rage at. It doesn't even matter, because you're going to upset somebody at the end of the day, and some people are going to be happy. So there's no point fence sitting. There's no point doing anything like that. Let's make some decisions. Let's get our balls in our hands, and let's just fucking get on out there as we move forward to talking about WESG so far.
Just to close out on that, right? One thing that MSL could also look at is he decided to go to NA, right? Where there's obviously smaller competition, worse competition, and less tournaments, because there's just not that many good teams there. So that's another thing you have to look at. Like, if you've chosen to play fewer things and against lesser opposition, so also another thing.
Sure, that is a valid point. There is obviously a lower, I guess. I know there's 330 million people in the United States, but the level of competitive play is not the same as in Europe. So moving with WSG, we can start talking about how uncompetitive this tournament has been thus far. Yeah. The group stage.
Well, the group stage has been fairly okay.
Yeah, the best of twos didn't cause too many issues. The only one who might feel a little bit robbed would be Imperial, who went out in a tiebreaker situation with Panda Gaming by 1 round. That kind of sucks a little bit for them. The fact that the groups weren't really seeded correctly, and some groups only had 2 teams, or one group only had 2 teams, and some groups only had 3, was pretty ridiculous.
By the way, sorry, continue. We'll get to that.
I was just going to say that the group stage itself didn't really offer up too many surprises to me, other than the fact that Valiants are playing considerably better than I thought.
With their coach.
Yeah, it makes sense in a way, but the other point as well is Fnatic seem to be underperforming as FaZe have won the first half 13-2, and NIP are getting shreked.
This is literally nothing going on.
That's just a brutal game.
It's like they barely even have any chance. Like, I've seen some of these 1v2s. Like, I thought Draken was gonna maybe have a chance in that 1v2 from balcony, but this is not a game that's very competitive.
Everyone on single digits.
Yeah.
Just getting destroyed.
I was just looking to how they're gonna move around, because obviously with Draken coming in, they have an actual op, not the situation they had before where everybody was changing it. But there's nothing to see really so far, because they just haven't had a realistic chance.
What are we talking about? Yeah. We're talking about Valiant. Yeah, Valiant fucked up my bet, but you can talk about Fnatic.
Look. You were saying how there are some groups with 3 teams, right? And Fnatic were in one of them, and they still had trouble advancing, by the way. They tied both teams. They tied both Wendigo and Movistar. So it's I thought, look, my reasoning back last week, right, when I made the bet, by the way, I won both bets just because Fnatic won the first map of both of those best of 2 series. So I technically won the bet, even though my reasoning was completely awful, because I thought there's no way it was going to happen to them twice.
Classic predictions.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's pretty much what happens. And they didn't even look that convincing against Russia. Those were a couple of pretty close games, and they had to come back on Dust 2 from a pretty bad T side as well. So it's like I don't know what's happening with Fnatic. I'm still just baffled about how they're playing, how they're managing to lose to some of these teams that they should just be beating straight out.
Let me quickly just pose a hypothetical to the both of you. If you're Fnatic in this scenario, and let's say that they did go out either in the first round against Russia, or they didn't even progress through that group stage, do you think that they make roster changes?
I
think
like based on what we've heard from them, I would say no. They should. They probably should, but I would say they wouldn't. Just because I feel like there's no bad blood between them. I think they just like feel like they fuck up as a team. So that's my feeling about it. I just don't think they actually would make a change.
I think they'll also play it off like this is a shit tournament, bad monitors, whatever people are complaining about nowadays for this WSG event. I think the only excuse is like bad monitors this time. Everything else seems to be working kind of okay. So
no,
whatever. I think that's what they would play it off, and also the difference between like them and someone like G2 or someone like Astralis is that they don't have a strong coach who's going to be dictating the roster. No one's going to be from them coming and saying, okay, this can't work, like exist, you're out, JW, you're out, or whatever. That
but also,
happen.
who do you get? Who do you get? You don't really have, like, at this point...
You get Knock from Existence Galaxy.
And you get Golden from Cloud9 to in-game lead the team. I know a lot of people aren't sold on Golden, but still, name me a better in-game leader from Sweden right now, and don't dare say fucking Hampus.
Hampus can get a shot. It's like the same.
But the thing is, like, they've given shots. They've given shots to some people, and like this. Okay, this lineup is not that bad. Like overall, like we thought this was gonna work, but Twist hasn't really been delivering that much. Roland has actually been like almost surprisingly good to me, because I thought he was just gonna be like kind of somewhat inconsistent. He was just gonna be like that typical inexperienced player who just like has his games, but it still needs to get that consistency, because he wasn't that great on Red Reserve previously either. So I felt like there's no way he was going to carry Fnatic, and he's actually been like their second to third best player basically after Grims. So it's like that's a positive surprise to me. But just generally, like Sweden's like attempts of like tapping into the lower tier and tapping into like the sub top has not worked out really well. Mostly because they just did it way too late, and they didn't really bring up some of these players, and now they're doing it when it's already kind of too late. But that's the problem. Like they've tried some of these players before, and it hasn't been working out. So, like, do you continue with that, or do you just like lock your heels in and just like figure out how to work with this team without making more lineup changes and just creating more chaos?
They should have never let Golden go in the first place. I think that was such a big mistake right there. But regardless of that, was there any other?
Just clutched 1v2 with a pretty nice flick.
Here we might get a replay.
Makes this any? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I didn't see that either.
The flick on Rez is pretty sick. I think no Rez on the other guy.
But we didn't get it.
They didn't put it on,
That's okay. It's hard to catch all the POVs. It's not easy. Let me tell you, production's not a fun place to be.
Oh, he just didn't have time.
I mean, they probably wanted to see like the other side, like what happened on the other side, because you were probably watching the game if you're looking at the replay.
Yeah.
From the group stages, was there any other big omissions? For me, if I had to note them quickly, it'd be Chiefs. I know that that's not their roster anymore, but for them to lose in such a fashion, and Wardell and friends, I question that one right there, because I think that in the group they're in, with Russia, Panda Gaming, and Imperial, even though you have two mixed teams and two actual teams in there, I thought that Wardell and friends would have had enough to at least scrape that second spot.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's not a big surprise to see them not go through. At least two of these teams are actual teams. Imperial isn't that bad. Panda Gaming is the former CyberZen team, so they're kind of decent. And then Russia is just like Russian players in a mix. Always dangerous. So I think it's fair to not see them go through. I know some people in chat were hyping them up last episode. I think it's just like a bit of the NA fanboyism and stuff like that. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's not that great of a lineup, right? There's Wardell and then there's Surosa, but like not a massively impressive lineup. But I mean, when you look at Russia, that isn't a particularly impressive lineup either.
Not at all.
Compared to what was supposed to be, which the players were supposed to be playing last time, and Flamey tapped out and stuff.
Could you imagine if they were able to assemble, like, so for Na'Vi, for example, you obviously take Simple and you put him in the Ukrainian team, and you take Electronic and Flame and you put them in the Russian team, and you build. There's so many good players in CS region. It's fucking insane.
Well, that was even supposed to happen last time, right? That Flamey was supposed to play for Russia.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. So. Electronic too, right? I think Electronic
did play last year.
Oh, he did play in the end. Oh, well, he was the only one who didn't, right? Simple and Flamey both like.
Simple and Flamey didn't because of the whole
MIBR thing.
That's
right.
Yeah. That's what happened last year. So they were actually supposed to be playing, but
it's not the way to go, really, is it? But I think that
either way, it's exciting just because of the possibilities, right? Just like a mixed team with like some of the best players from Russia, it's still pretty exciting.
If you got this would be the cool thing, right? If you could entice the likes of Astralis to go, and then the second slot in Denmark, it's a qualifier, and then you can, MIBR, the first slot from Brazil, they're invited, and then someone else can qualify. If you have a team that's legitimately like in the top 10, or maybe you could even argue the top 15 in the world with a core 5 roster from the same nationality, invite them straight away and then give an extra spot as a qualifier position, right? Then you could actually get really good teams there, and it might incentivize teams to build national rosters to have a crack. But let's bring the bracket up, Lucas, because I want to start talking about who we actually have in the round of 8, which is going down tomorrow, actually kicking off in not that long, really. It's probably about, I don't know, what fucking... How long is it? It's like 7 hours or some shit. It's probably like 7 hours or something. Anyway, here's the bracket.
8 hours, 15 minutes.
There we go. So pretty damn close. As you can see in the bracket, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we don't have the first round go today. Let's just quickly go over them. FnaTIC, as mentioned previously, just beat Russia in a pretty close affair. It was 2-0. Optic over Alpha Red. Business as usual there. Valiant's able to take down Singularity, who they didn't really do a whole lot. Ukraine going down to Ago. We have Windigo with a win over Furious Gaming. I got some flack from the Argentinians for my cast of watching them miss grenade after grenade after grenade, which I think is a pretty fair critique to give anybody at any level if you want to play Counter-Strike in a tournament. MIBR, Viva Algeria, that was a very quick game. Viva Algeria really didn't stand too much of a chance.
For getting like 3-4 knife kills.
It's crazy, man.
Exciting.
Just running around, knifing everybody, getting it done. Absolute versus TNC. The Japanese roster continue to chug along. They have had an easier group, but it's good to see them. We saw them at the London Minor last year. They turned a couple heads, the likes of Crow, Laz, etc. And then G2 taking on Panda. That was another easy game. Panda didn't put up much of a fight. So let's look at the matches for tomorrow, because they start to get interesting now. We actually get a couple of good games. Off the page, is anything jumping out at either of you?
Let's see. I mean, FnaTIc Optic
as an exciting, I think FnaTIc
Optic should be the closest one on paper, right? The thing is, like, the problem I have with, like, the second one could also have like some potential Valiant Algo, just because of like the unknown factor. I thought Valiance was not going to be as good as they are, obviously, and Algo are still like a decent team, at least from Poland. It's not they're not bad.
At the same time, that match doesn't matter in the way that it doesn't tell us anything about these teams going forward.
It's
true. Like Algo beats a mixed team, okay. Mixed team beats Algo. It's like, okay, Algo is kind of bad, but we know they're not really good at the moment. That match is kind of not even really relevant to me, even though it's exciting to see fucking Gemi carry his team, like the coach carrying his team. For some reason, that's happening. Okay, congrats. I mean, love the guy. Good guy. He did fuck my bet from last
He just reminded me of Trump so much. Good guy. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. I like that guy. But the FnaTIc Optic game, that's where we see if FnaTIc is going to be playing real CS at this event or not. Like, that's kind of where we draw the line if they're playing like shit, or maybe they can kind of just grow with the tournament coming on and later on actually be a contender for the title.
Yeah, I think for me, the Windigo versus MIBR game will actually be an interesting one, because I think that Windigo, especially Poison and Ships, are very skillful players. I think that they can do some damage, and I don't think that they can maybe take a map. I give them a potential for a map, but I don't see them winning the series. I think MIBR are looking very confident. They obviously haven't been pushed at all in this tournament thus far. They've only played 2 games. They played Ago in the group stage, and then they played Viva Algeria. And look, all in all, it hasn't actually been too much of a slog for them. They've had a lot of downtime. But this is a stepping stone if you are prescribing to the idea that MIBR could be one of the many fabled giant slayers of this year coming to take the title from Astralis. Then they need to show up here. They need to win this tournament, actually. To be completely fair, they need to win this entire tournament. So starting with Wendigo, that's where their WSG run really kicks off, and then G2 versus Absolute. No offense to Absolute, but that is a must-win for G2 regardless of what's going on with the roster change. If G2 don't do that, then you can't even have faith in the core 4 who are currently on the team. Like, what the fuck's going on? You can see bodyy today in the way that he's playing. He's playing proper Counter-Strike. He hasn't given up. He's playing to win. So, obviously, there's a lot of prize money on the line here. The further they go, you take it away. It's like what happened with Sixer. Remember when Envious won it? And Sixer was like, well, the team's dead now. Fucking peace. It was 2 years ago. It's
good to get like a nice cash injection before landing on the bench. I think that's always a good incentive to play hard, because it's like 10k if you finish 8th, then it's 50k if you finish top 4. And I don't know what the number 1 and number 2, I can actually scroll just to check it out. Yeah, second place, $200,000. First place.
Pretty nice, man.
Not bad, yeah. Not bad.
This is worse.
It used to be a lot more as well.
Yeah, it was 1.5 million.
Was like 700 almost, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Crazy, real crazy shit. Well,
and this is like
Sponge like, maybe I shouldn't have retired. Maybe just pick up on Australia.
Nah, man.
Some mixed team.
I look tired, old, wrinkled, and beaten down emotionally and physically now, as opposed to before, where I was much younger and tanned and probably smiling more often. But I still enjoy what I'm doing more now than when I'm playing, because playing was just such a stressful experience. It became just an absolute nightmare towards the end of things. Let's pick an overall winner. Is everybody going with MIBR to take this whole thing? Because we won't be able to...
The thing is, like, I would gladly go to somebody like Fnatic and not pick the easy way out, right? But like none of them have been convincing. We know Optic to fuck up like every chance that they get, basically. Fnatic have been looking awful. You can't even
consider Optic winning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like considering Optic winning at this point is like on the basis of what do we see them as a winning team? Like any relevant tournament.
You basically have to go back a year to start to maybe consider Optic like a force to be reckoned with at this point. Like that's how far you have to go, and you also have to go only to the individual players. Like that's how long they've been basically
At this moment, it doesn't matter if it's MIBR on the other side in the grand final. If it's Wendigo or G2, I'm still like, will they really win this? I'm not. I wouldn't be
even if it's okay.
Well, like why? Like Optic lost to Valiance 2-0 in the group stage.
No, I just
Valiance with the coach. They played Nuke, the Danish map, lost.
So so if we're all going to go with MIBR as the biggest chance to win here, what is the biggest chance for an upset out of all these? I actually think that the one that, for whatever reason, I'm leaning to is actually Absolute beating G2. For some reason, my brain's just gone, it's not possible. It shouldn't happen. But I feel like
that would just like become a meme for the next year.
Imagine. I'm picturing it now.
Look, I'm just looking through what teams Absolute beat, right? Or what teams they played. They played Furious, they played Frostfire. That's the thing. Like they beat teams that are pretty much like as non-existent as they are.
Yeah,
so.
That's why I'm thinking. Oh. It's all possible.
Oh, actually, Furious are semi-legit. So
it is possible. Like Laz had some good showings. He's like the exciting player to watch. In-game leader.
This is similar to the Scars lineup, right?
Same team.
Scars,
it's not exactly the same lineup, though. Is it?
I think they've changed one player.
I think it's Rita they added because they had Crow, they had Laz, they had Bas, and they definitely had Takage.
Take J.
I don't know. Take J.
Come on, I'm trying to do justice to the language.
No, that's not. That's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening.
It would be a monumentous choke, but
look, I like the Japanese guys. It's kind of exciting to have a Japanese team, so I'm rooting for them in this for sure.
I want Japanese Counter-Strike to be a thing for one reason and one reason only. I've never been to Japan, so if they like rock on then they have a tournament in Japan, I'll be fucking signing up for that like nobody's business. But I know that Striker's been trying to delay this moment for as long as possible.
I think let's do our new
let's-
bets
no,
before we
let's do
go
slips,
into
No,
this.
no, 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 no,
No,
no,
let's
no,
do
no.
let's do slips first because
this
I don't
is-
know how I'm gonna be able to speak.
This is how we're going to do it.
Okay.
You're going to do. Are we able, Lucas? Are we able to do striker's slip first? Okay, we're going to do striker's slip first, and then while we're doing Prof's slip,
I'm just gonna eat.
striker will eat, and I
The
just
thing is,
want you to
like,
keep striker on camera.
Okay, because there's three. So whatever. Let's do my slip. Fuck it.
What are we looking at?
Oh, the graph, right? Yeah, I actually won my first
okay.
slip
Sure,
because
here we go.
of like
Oh.
a random factor. Because basically Fnatic won their pick in both series, so I won
You
my
won
slip.
30 euros.
33, yeah.
Congratulations.
33 and a half. I
Congratulations.
actually gave you the half. Yeah, I mean, first time I actually won anything since we started doing this segment, by the way. So yes, thank you for the claps. I deserve them. But yeah, I'm 53 bucks ahead, or euros, whatever, ahead of Prof for now.
It's a small victory, but it's a victory nonetheless. So
Yes,
you
it's
should
my
be
first
happy with that
victory
one.
here, so give
But
me
yeah,
that.
we need
Fuck
to
it.
like for people that don't follow it. We did this like a competition, betting competition, and Striker lost the last one, so now he has to do the forfeit, which is kind of a chili challenge, like the hot ones. What is it? The hot ones, the show on YouTube.
Yeah.
He has 3 different chili sauces that he's gonna eat with some chicken wings. It's gonna be exciting, especially because he really doesn't like spicy stuff. Neither do I.
It's not like I don't. I'm not liking is one thing. I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I would like it. It's just I'm not too used to it. That's the bigger problem here.
Well,
I just don't
without
eat
further
too
ado,
much spicy food.
let's
There we go.
get striker's slip operational.
I have to remember even what I did. There we go. I mean, that's the three. It's the three of the 4 quarterfinals basically. I didn't want to come anywhere close to Valiant's Ago, just because like Ago actually had something like 2.6 in that matchup, even though they're up against a mixed team basically. Like Valiants have some like ridiculous odds for them being a mix basically. So I didn't want to touch that with 10 football. I didn't want to bank on Ago, who I just didn't believe in at all. So I just went with basically like the heavily favored. Well, I mean, not heavily, but more, I guess, reliable matchups.
Now I see why you don't have any faith in Absolute, because you bet on G2 with odds 1.06.
I was just to yeah, exactly, just to
You literally
bump up a
earned
little bit.
€5 on that bet or something.
Yeah, not even that probably. But it's pretty low, yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's fairly obvious. MIBR to win against Wendigo, they should be like heavy favorites. So there's no question there. I'm worried about Fnatic Optic because of Fnatic's history, Fnatic's major, Fnatic's group stage here, even Fnatic's previous match. But still, Optic have done nothing to really sway me since they basically started this team. So that's that's basically my reasoning there. Like I have less faith in Optic, and this was actually the only one that had like some reasonable odds to bet on, because the rest, like you say, it's like 1.06, 1.14, which alone would have like given me nothing. So I just had to go with like one of those higher odds between those last 2 quarterfinals, which this one is just more reliable.
I actually missed out on like MIBR odds being like 1.3 or something, and just as I was about to like screenshot and send, like, oh, odds change 1.14. So unlucky, and I hate you, GG.BET, but doesn't matter. That's
what?
Like the odds 1.3 for MIBR beating Wendigo in a best of 3. That was kind of insane to start off. So someone got it, someone didn't. What can you do? That's yours.
Here's the moment.
Here's the moment. Okay,
you can just show up mine and then do like the big cameras.
Exactly. Just show the slip.
And then Prof can talk over while we hear Striker dying in the background.
It's gonna take me a second.
We're having some technical difficulties right now. I will get my people on it, and we'll be able to fix it momentarily. It's popping on up.
Get Yanko to fix this shit. What are you doing coaching the phase right now?
We need the tech advisor.
I'm trying to read it because I have a battle. There we go.
So yeah, I did the 2 matches. Optic Fnatic, as you see, I have much better odds because I placed it earlier, and MIBR is kind of a bit higher as well. But the same reasoning. Other than that, I did NRG against Complexity and ECS, which was also going down when I put the bet in. which I think is kind of a reasonable best of 3 online. It is online. Complexity did beat NRG, but I still think it's kind of a decent bet. And I went for LDLC Epsilon against Epsilon. It's the best of 1 ESCA Mountain Dew League on Mirage, but LDLC has almost no Mirage wins. Epsilon is like on the rise right now with the new lineup with stavn and those guys, so that's my combination.
And only 4 members, I believe, for LDLC at the moment, right?
That is also true. They lost to Devaduvek recently, so they're going to be playing with I don't know who. So all of that combining is, I think Epsilon is like a decent win there. So Striker, are you ready? What do you have?
Yeah,
Can you
I'm ready.
present
Look,
it to people?
How much did you chuck in, though? We want to see how much you put
I
up
nothing
here.
yet.
max bet.
Max bet.
Yeah, 90 euros. That's not much.
Oh shit. Okay. So Sriracha coming
Full
up
screen
first.
it.
That's
Let's
pretty
go,
easy.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Get him on the full screen.
I'm just waiting to get on full screen so I can show it a little
we
bit
have
properly.
three difficulties, so this is the easiest one.
Look, I'm basically what my plan was, right? And I hope you're gonna allow this. Is that like Sriracha I can just put on quite a lot. It's fine. I even opened this before because I just wanted to use it for something else. I had like a tortillas and stuff, so I just used it on that. I'm just trying to figure out how to show it without just like making a mess, basically. How to show how much I put on.
I think you just have to make a mess. I don't think there's any other way to do it.
Okay, fuck it.
I also feel that you, having already eaten this out of choice, already negates it from,
Well, yeah, this is... Okay.
This is
I feel
just like a basic one.
All right, we'll start here.
This is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not fine.
Okay.
That's not fine.
I think you
want
might need
more?
like double that amount.
Double
Yeah,
that amount for this one, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll work up as we go through it.
The last one, fuck you. Like, the last one, I'm just not even gonna take like anything from you because that's supposed to be like super fucking insane. Okay. Alright, this one should be easy.
Do you like spicy food, Prof? Are you a fan?
Nah, I mean, I like mildly spicy things. Like the taste is good, but it fucks me up pretty hard. Like at the moment, and then later is pretty hard.
So you two, while we're doing
fine.
this, maybe we'll take some suggestions in chat coming in while Striker loads at the next one. Because we are doing another challenge. We need to set a deadline for it. And I assume we may as well put something else on the line. So what
We
can we
already
make?
put our asses on the line. And
Yeah, second one coming up, right? I'm just gonna show it. I also showing that I didn't like this is not replaced or anything. I just kept the seal on for these because just to make sure that nobody can tell me that I cheated on this or whatever. So this is might take even a while because I have to even open this. Okay.
What's the name? Just give us
This,
the name.
Okay, even the Sriracha, like with that kind of amount. Okay, this says ass in the tub. I can show you the label as well.
What?
It's a pretty good label. Ass in the tub. It's probably turn it a little bit.
Yeah, you can see, and it
Whatever.
has like a nice.
Yeah, it has
picture.
like a guy on. No, let's see. I'm trying to look at myself do it, and it's just like a little bit delayed. There we go.
Yeah,
That's a little bit better. Okay. Okay, and this says, this pepper sauce is seriously hot. In fact, this is about as hot as it gets. It might sound like we're bragging, but really we're just giving you the advance notice that it's going to burn on the way in, and 3 dots, well, you get the picture. It's a moving experience, is what this says, right? So I'm going to shake this a little bit.
Good luck.
Because, yeah. Just tell me how, look, fuck. Oh, there's the... Can I even, wait, let me just try. Okay, fair enough. Like, actually, God does go. This does not smell good.
I'm not meant to smell like death.
This is hard to get out. Like, because it's not plastic, I can't like squish it. Oh fuck.
It's so
hard,
a bit
dude.
delayed here, but
This is so hard to get out, dude.
You can just get it out and then put it in
there
front
you
of a screen. Don't use some like magic and fake some like tomato sauce on.
I can't, dude. Like, how is that fine?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can you not see it? Whatever.
Let's start with that. Let's see how we go.
Are you putting the whole thing in your mouth? How's it going? Are you gonna put half of it?
Oh, whole thing. Jesus, that's not good. It's not. It's not that hot so far.
Okay,
It's just that awful sauce, though. Jesus Christ, that's disgusting.
So it's not hot.
It's not that hot. I mean, not so far. Maybe gonna build up.
I think we might need a bit more sauce on then.
I feel like too, because it's like this does not feel like punishment. This is okay.
The worst thing is, he's saying the taste is not good, and if anything, Striker is a guy that has like doesn't care about anything. Everything is fine. Like nothing is bad.
I'm just gonna
for him.
put a little bit more on the other side.
Any
Okay.
food we order is like, this is fine. You have like, it's awful. No, it's fine.
No, okay.
So this
I
must
put
be
like
very
double
disgusting.
that amount. I'm just gonna go straight in.
I'm disappointed in how this is working out so far.
I thought here'd be more tears.
This one's not that great, dude. The last one is the one that we're waiting for, basically.
Let's just get the
'Cause
last
this
one
is
in
the
there.
fucking-
Let's make the pain happen.
I'm just gonna read the label, right? We started with blah blah blah, whatever nobody cares about. We lab tested at 322,000 Scoville
Oh,
units.
come on.
One of the hottest sauces on the planet. Warning: this sauce is extremely hot. Keep out of reach of children. Consume one drop at a time with extreme caution.
Oh,
So
that's not true. What is
Dude,
that?
NBK was like warning me about this sauce as we were like talking on Twitter, basically. That
no.
like you really shouldn't get more than like. Fuck, that's building up. Actually, the previous one is kind of like getting somewhere.
Oh, the heat. It's a slow burn.
Do you have the tub ready for your ass?
Jesus Christ. Okay, so this one, the bomb, ground zero, right? If you've seen hot ones, this is supposed to be like double the Scoville units of their like Beyond Insanity sauce. So this is gonna be fuck. Okay, it's kind of building up.
Here we go.
This has like a okay. Jesus, that it doesn't even look good. It doesn't even look like a for sauce.
One drop at a time. That's something. You know, I'm
It smells
a fan of
awful as well.
hot food, but I don't think I'd like to scorch my insides.
Yeah, okay. Fuck it. I'll just try. I'm gonna have to be careful here.
Oh dear.
See how it goes.
It's like a mad
Okay,
scientist
fuck it.
here. Oh,
Oh,
you've got
fuck.
liberal. That's quite liberal. I'm excited.
Maybe you should just like spread it around with like a knife or something.
Wait, I
This way it's just
have a fry.
It's all going to the same place, man. I don't think it really matters how much he spreads it.
Okay. It smells awful though. It's gonna be bad. I can feel it. Fuck, this one's for you, Nathan.
Oh no. There's just silence. The silence worries me a little bit.
I'm waiting for it to kick in because oh fuck. Okay. It's off. Fuck. Thing is, like, it's so disgusting, like the sauce itself, that it just like beats the heat, but it's still. Oh my god. Fuck, man. Okay, that's not.
Use the Gambit advice. Don't put it in your.
Jesus Christ. Okay, this one is building up. Fucking hell.
All right. Do we continue now and just let him suffer as we continue the show? Okay. So
Yeah.
funnily
You need
enough,
to finish that wing.
funnily enough, we are going from Prof Striker segment
fucking
to a
Christ.
segment titled, funnily enough, Burnout. And this is going to be a fun one because we're going to get to watch Striker squirm here while we talk about this. If you're not watching the game right now, load it up. NIP versus FaZe Clan is going on map number 2 of the best of 3 to get through the grand final. NIP did win the pistol round, so they're off to a better start than they were on the first map. But we are talking about the burnout with players because recently we saw the likes of Dennis stepping down for
Holy shit.
unforeseen amount of time.
I'm not. Look,
Our producer laughing
this
in the
is building-
background.
This is building so hard. Like, I'm crying, dude.
Oh dear.
Okay. The second one was a walk in the park. It was like it was an awful taste, but the sauce was like not that hot. This one's fucking building up and worse and worse. Holy shit. Yeah, MBK's like
Yeah.
He's enjoying it.
All right, Prof.
Fuck.
I'm gonna set this one up for you so you can get going while we keep watching him die here. So we've had Dennis step down for a little bit of time while he recovers from some fatigue, and they've had Draken step on in the interim. Now we don't know how long this is going to take. We don't know how long that Dennis is going to be out of the game for. First of all, how do you read into the situation? Because we know Dennis was critical of himself, and what do you think about burnout with players?
I'm not sure like how much we can actually believe what NIP said here. Like, it just seems weird that Draken would quit his team to go and stand in for NIP. That is kind of the weird part for me.
Yeah,
I see
ruins the
Spudger
whole
enjoying
project.
yourself.
I'm fucking I'm dying, dude. It's still fucking hot as hell. Like my tongue feels like on fire, dude. Like this will burn like another asshole.
Another asshole. Ah, feels good to not lose.
Okay.
The good old not losing
Fuck, I
feeling.
just need the milk. Fuck this.
Do you have cat milk? Is that cat
Fuck
milk
you.
over there? Yeah, we need to find a new challenge. So guys, if you have any ideas for what we can do for the next one, whoever loses, please just tag us while you put it in the chat, because I'll be probably missing that.
Okay.
Tweet it at us, get it to us, social media, all those platforms. Work something out for the next one because
Dude, I
something
wish you could even
disgusting
smell
or
this shit. Jesus
humiliating.
Christ. Not disgust. Please don't do anything that will make us gag, like the surströmming or whatever it's called, like the Swedish
fish. Yeah, that was
fermented thing. That's fucking. Don't do that. Like
that's pretty disgusting.
that's really bad.
I would. I mean,
fuck.
I'm up for that.
Come on. Jesus Christ.
I wonder
It's
if I
still
can
going.
get a widgety grub shipped, like a dead widgety grub from Australia to make you eat.
What the fuck is that?
I'll link it. Hold up.
What did you say? What was it called?
Widgety grub.
What the fuck is that?
Getting a picture. Hold up.
I'm still dying, dude. So let's not do that.
Lucas,
let's
can
not,
you bring
let's
this
not,
up on stream? It'll be
let's
dead.
not do anything
It'll
that
be
will make us
dead,
gag.
so it won't be. This won't be. I'd eat this.
No, I would not eat that.
Eat a boot.
Dude, don't make me.
Oh,
make me
fuck
vomit,
no.
dude.
Fuck
eat,
no,
like,
please.
Grub. It's just a grub. You'll be fine.
You're a fucking Australian. Fuck you.
Fucking insects are off limits.
Oh, come
That's
on.
fine.
Crickets are a good source of protein.
That's the thing. Like anything that will make me vomit.
Vermin
Let's
as
not.
well.
Let's not do that.
Okay, all right. Let's get back on track. So we've got there's the witchetty grub for everybody. An indigenous delicacy down under. So we're going to get kicking on in to this Draken standing in for Dennis. Prof, you were talking about the fact that you think it's a bit weird that he left his team.
Yeah, I mean, is this really just Dennis taking a step back for like a few weeks or months? If so, why would Draken just get out of the stream existence team that's been in the works for like a couple of months, just so he could stand in for NIP and get like a few months salary? Like, what's the point of that? So feels similar to the Michaelella stand-in situation when they had, what was that, Pith had a arm injury, fist injury, something. Then they brought in Michaelella for 3 events. The first one they won was the Star Series Season 2. And when that finished, I'm not completely sure, but I think Michaelella said something like along the lines that he was led to believe that he would actually have a chance in the team. And I feel like this is similar to what happened then. It's also like an inconsistent offer coming in, filling the role that they need. But I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. If it is NIP as the org, again, kind of misleading a player, I feel like that's a really big bitch move. And I hope it's not true. But yeah, on the back to the whole burnout thing, if Dennis is, first of all, what can he actually be burnt out from in this year? It's March, he played 1 tournament for 3 weeks. Is that really a thing?
Yeah,
can he really be burnt out from that?
If we look at the amount of tournaments though that the teams are playing, I guess that might be. I don't think it's being burnt out. Wait, you guys have done it again. So I just brought the NIP roster on HLTV.org, and you guys have put Draken in there in the place of Dennis. So this has happened.
I guess it's because this one's because we expect this to be like more long term than just like a couple of weeks or something. So that's why.
I think that if you look at the symptoms as a whole here for NIP and the fact that they do lack a primary AWPer, Draken coming in for maybe a longer term project, like you're saying, it could be possible. But I think that the issue that at least was skirted around was probably more of an attitude issue with Draken as opposed to anything else. He obviously doesn't perform as a top tier AWPer. He's not. I wouldn't put him in my top 10 AWPers in the world. But he's serviceable. He can get that done. I think that the burnout from Dennis, maybe it's just a constant compounding issue of he's noted publicly that he was underperforming. And if he's gone to the point of noting publicly that he's underperforming, I can only hazard a guess the amount of abuse from very fickle, child-minded fans who shouldn't be able to call themselves that, would have been sending him copious amounts of abuse and not so nice messages. And let's be fair, it's very easy to be one of those people who have about 3 Twitter followers and say, oh, just don't read it, just ignore these people. But when this is your everyday and it's your life and you're so connected to something, especially like esports and gaming and Counter-Strike is, it's difficult to tune those type of things out. You see the negativity coming in, you read it and you think to yourself, that person's just a fucking moron, which 9 times out of 10, that's probably the case. But it still compounds because it adds to self-doubt, and being mentally strong is something that literally every person in the whole world struggles with. So for people just to say, oh, ignore it or brush it off or do this or do that, it's really not that easy. And maybe that's a symptom of the burnout that Dennis was saying he was experiencing. That's just one take on it.
Yeah, it must be something along those lines of him just not feeling comfortable playing the game, not performing well, because if you look at the stats for like the last year even, he hasn't been playing particularly, like his level isn't impressive. He also came into the team to be the in-game leader. He's not doing that either. So he's just like another player on the team. He's not primary opping either. So that's also a role that they need to kind of fill. So I guess they just wanted to give him some time and see if he can recover and go back to his like good form from like early 2018, late 2017 or something. That's already a long time ago. So I'm kind of curious to see if like, is it realistic to even expect him to go back to that? Like he's 28, right? He's not the youngest player in the world either. So all of that combined makes me skeptical about him even getting back into this lineup. Like, I don't know. But at the same time, it does make sense. Like in esports, we just kick players so easily. Like you underperform for a couple of months, you're out. So buying new players, changing the roster, changing the lineup, getting communication back, chemistry, all of that takes time. So finding the balance between, okay, let's get this player some off time and then try him again in a month, and balancing that and just like making the early cuts is something I think everyone in CS needs to work on and improve on.
Do you think that's like a culture shift? Because the way that I look at it is right now we're still so ride and die with the concept of 5 players, which is fine. I think that Counter-Strike, I don't think you'll ever have like a rotating bench in a tournament. I think, I don't think any time in the foreseeable future you'll have that. But I think that having 6 guys on the roster, so right now, let's say that they signed Draken again and they just kept Dennis on the bench, and Dennis had to do streaming obligations. He had to play a certain amount, so he's playing FPL. He's practicing in that regard. He has to learn certain strategies for the team in case, Forrest's baby is due, or, GG.BET has an emergency that he has to go take care of, or something like that. And then that 6th member can always just jump in. We have spoken about this, but I've definitely spoken about this before, and facilitating that role. And the question is, with somebody in this circumstance, like a Dennis, who you did mention his age and the fact that he might not ever return to that form, it might not be the worst thing in the world. Especially, like, let's say they this is hypothetical. Draken comes in, they play some games, they're looking pretty good, and then 2 to 3 months down the track, they have a dip. Okay, well, maybe we keep Draken, but we put, let me just throw a name. Let's say we put GG.BET on the bench, and then Dennis comes in and roles change, and now it's a different looking NIP, and they've still been able to hold on to that piece. I think that maybe there is a need for that at some point soon, because it feels like players really, obviously they want to attend events. That's what they live for. That's what they play for. But it is very taxing when you're practicing 6-8 hours a day and traveling the world, and people are like, oh, they're playing a video game. Shut the fuck up. The thing
Living
is
in
that,
hotel rooms.
Yeah, man, it's not really the most fun situation. Look, I would prefer to do this than digging holes, but at the same time, everything has its pros and cons. I think that sometime soon, it wouldn't be bad to have that shift. You know, like right now, let's say that Sonny can't get sold; he doesn't go anywhere. If I was Mouse, I'd just keep fucking Sonny on the bench. I'd say, listen, bro, we'll keep paying your salary. Go play some FPL, stream some fucking games, and then if this shit doesn't work out, Frozen 16, he shits the bed. We decide we don't want Christian anymore. He might, not be doing what we need, or we're not happy with Rops. Then you just bring Sonny back in, right? If these players want to go somewhere, they want to sign these contracts. They have to understand that they're held to something. And I think that the orgs, as they transition in this period to having coaches or management more in control of the rosters, we should see this happening more and more. Are you dead, Striker?
No, I'm good.
Oh, we got him.
Pretty good.
Yeah. You had to take some time off the camera, I see.
No, I just need to fix my mic because it was falling down. Because it's like, I've got a bit of a ghetto solution, so that's why. No, I've been fine for like the last 5 minutes, but like up to that, it's just been building and building. Fuck that experience, seriously.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in chat that said that they just missed it, they just tuned in, so maybe you can have
No. There's fucking replays for that. We're on the internet. Fuck you.
Why are you attacking fans?
The thing I wanted to say about Dennis, right? I haven't been listening for like most of your conversation so far, just like the last 5 minutes I heard, because I've just been struggling. There's basically, to me, it felt like it's not just about burnout, but there's just like probably some shit going on in his personal life because, like you say, he's obviously not been playing that much in terms of like volume, at least volume of matches or volume of tournaments. Like NIP have actually been one of those teams that skipped like some of the most tournaments. So it's like it's not just that. It's just like probably either his personal life or just like his form getting to him, basically, that he just like keeps like, I don't know, blaming himself for teams' losses and stuff like that. So I feel like once you get into that mindset, it's hard to come back from it. So I would imagine that's why he's taking a break rather than like him actually being burned out from the amount of CS he's playing.
The thing which I think probably needs to be conveyed more often as well is not everybody, not every team can be the best team in the world. Everybody as a competitor wants to be the best that they possibly can be. But there are certain teams in the striking distance in an era or a period of Counter-Strike who can be a contender for the best team in the world. I don't think any of us right here would have any problem saying no matter what lineup we see from NIP with these moves and little shuffles and little pieces they might tinker with, in my opinion, they cannot be the best team in the world in this current era of Counter-Strike. And maybe they're self-aware of that fact. Maybe they're just going into tournaments to see if they can win one here, there, and everywhere. But that's something which goes for all these squads, right? Not everybody can be the best team in the world. There's probably 4 teams in the world right now. Well, there's 1 team in the world who's fucking the best. And then there's 3 teams in the world who could challenge the best. Could. I'm not saying they would. I'm not saying they will. I say that the potential for there to be challenged in tournaments is there. And I think that's the Na'Vi, Liquid, and MIBRs of the world. So that expectation from fans, if you are a fan of a team and you're happy, you need to be aware that they probably won't be the best. That this team is likely to sit around, maybe 10th or maybe sit around 15th. Or it depends on who you're looking at. Not everyone can be the best, so manage your expectations, everybody.
Yeah.
Do we have any other examples of burnout in recent times from players? I think Mouse Sports was one. I at the time LMBT said about practice to me, like in the moment, and then when we had him on the podcast before, he said that he didn't feel that it was practice. So obviously, you look at things through rose-colored glasses when you look back.
If you look at Sunny and AmaNEk, their top 20 articles we posted at the start of this year, both of them said that. Was it Sunny and AmaNEk? I think it was, AmaNEk or Twist as well. Like, these guys all thought about just quitting CS because they're so just sick of traveling and competing all the time that even though they're winning, they're playing well, they're like top 2 at the worst, they consider quitting CS because they're just burnt out from all of the traveling. And that's something that teams really need to start looking at a lot more. And because in the end, if these players actually did that, if they did take a break, it's the team that loses the most. It's not the player. The player can always come back and have a great career after like a month or 2. But in the meantime, what are you doing with your roster? I mean, this is what actually happened with Mousesports in the end. I feel like, at least, they just fucked up those things. People got sick of traveling. They played less. Like, when they were at home, they actually just wanted to not play because they were playing and being on the road for so long that they didn't have anything else in their lives. So, yeah, not good. I think Thankfully, we didn't see any of them like quit CS because they're great talents, great to watch. But who knows if we'll have something like that happening this year with the schedule potentially being even worse because new teams, new tournament organizer coming in, more tournaments need to be put on, all of that stuff.
Yeah, the priorities from teams and players at this point, especially if you're a top 15 team in the world and you're playing at the the IMs, the ESL1s, you're getting a chance to play in the big leagues of ECS and Pro League, and you're going to a star ladder, you're doing the blast events. You need to start calling it somewhere. If there's an invite to go to a small event in some tropical island in fucking the middle of nowhere, it's going to take your players 24 hours to get to, and maybe think twice. Unless it's summertime and they can get a tan. But otherwise, yeah, probably everybody now needs to start taking a bit more of responsibility, because maybe in the beginning, people were thinking, let's play and win as much as we possibly can before the gravy train comes to a stop. But it doesn't feel like that gravy train is going anywhere. So I think that people just need to start thinking a little bit more long term and hopefully avoiding that burnout. And we'll probably round this one out. We're going to move to the CSGO map pool discussion right here. Now, yeah, Striker?
In the meantime, Nippa actually making a map of this, because it looked like it was going to be another blowout.
Yeah, I think Draken was at the bottom of the
where
scoreboard.
Guardian was literally...
Draken was at the bottom, and he's had like impact in almost every round that they've won since then. So
yeah, there was a round where Guardian was literally AFK or something and holding the lower ramp on B, and they killed him, but still FaZe won the round. I was like, okay, kind of. If you get that for free, then you should be doing something. But they were managing to turn it around.
looks like
They're going to lose to an Eco now.
It could be an 8-6.
We'll see about that.
Nico on 2 kills.
Eco. By the way, I've just gotten used to like the fucking master race of HUDs from ESL. That this is just tilting me.
Yeah, and especially the names, like the names being Faceit names or something. So Nico is all small letters, just like we usually use for the Danish Nico.
Okay.
And this is so annoying. I'm like, when is Danish Nico playing in FaZe?
It's getting you that much, is it?
Nah,
that's in your brain.
I mean, it is kind of something we really do pay attention about on HLTV.
Just generally. Obviously, like especially when there's like this sort of a problem between like there are multiple players being named the same way, right? And they actually do capitalize differently. Then it's an issue, because now like literally somebody who hasn't followed CS for a while will just look at it and say, yeah, well, what's Danish Nico doing on FaZe?
Sure.
Or maybe they don't even know how anyone is capitalized. Then
that's another thing.
I just like to watch headshots or something along those lines. And such. It's good to see, though, that Olof and Adren are using the orgs. I think Rain and Nico are still staying very stubborn.
I mean, Nico's never going to switch. Like, from my conversations with him, either on Twitter or personally, he's just never going to budge, man.
It doesn't really make much sense, because no matter what happens, I feel like the org is still going to be viable after Valve touch it up. So, there's going to be certain circumstances where it's going to be better than M4.
Depends on if what you're predicting is actually going to come true, because I feel like they will just nerf it. I feel like they'll just nerf it as an actual like the stats of it, rather than just pull the price back.
I don't think it's as overpowered or as misplaced as the Revolver or the Tech 9.
Sure.
Or anything like that. So I don't think, even if you look at the CZ, which was obscene and absolutely ridiculous when it came in, it's still a viable gun. So I think the AUG will kind of follow that pattern. It'll be nerfed, but still be viable in some situations.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem with that is that it's too expensive, right? So why even change it? I mean, why even pick it up? You have a better like overall option. That's kind of the thinking of players as well. You just want a better overall option for a rifle, right? And they're just going to stick to that. I don't think they'll use different rifles for different situations much.
Interesting to see how that one progresses. But something that I am quite curious in is we have had the same 8 maps floating around the map pool now ever since Valve introduced Cobblestone and Overpass back in the day. and we haven't really seen too much variation. There've obviously been updates to the maps. Inferno's gone through one, Dust 2's gone through one, Train's had a couple of little changes here and there, Nuke's had some big changes. Overpass was changed a lot in the beginning. Cobble, there's a new map out, but it's currently not in the competitive map pool. What am I forgetting? I'm forgetting Dust 2. Did I say Dust 2? Dust 2's obviously had the graphical upgrade as well. It hasn't really been anything of note changed on that map, really.
Not really.
And yeah, we did speak about Train. Train was changed a lot in the early days with the positioning of the bomb train, moving around a couple of times. But what I am curious about is your guys' take on the maps and whether we will see any new maps come in, because this is normally the period of time where if Valve were going to do anything, they would change it post-major before the next major was to start. And I also want to get your take on this. We were just talking about weapon balance, but for me, the weapon balance in Counter-Strike has never been the dictator of a meta. It's more been the maps popularized in the pool, because when a new map comes in or comes out, a certain team's map pool gets stronger or weaker, or if it's a new map for everybody's sake, then everybody either has a choice just to ban it or address it. And I think that if you had, this is a crazy theory here, if you had, let's go as high as 11 maps, I think we've spoken about this before, we could even just go 10 maps, you still have 7 maps in the pool, but you rotate in maybe 2 maps every so often, and have it going down like that to keep it fresh. So every 6 months or every major cycle, you change 2 maps, you pull 2 in, you pull 2 out, and that's going to address really. It means you are less likely to have Astralis at the top the entire time, because everyone else gets a similar point of starting when a new map comes into the pool. And 2 maps means that in best of threes, if I'm Astralis, for example, and 2 maps come in, let's just say completely just stay with me for 1 second. Let's say that Abbey and Biome come in, and Inferno and fucking Overpass are out. Well, if I'm Astralis, I have to prac one of them, because I can only ban one, right? Someone else might prac one of them, and they want to pick Abbey or some shit. So it would mean a bit more variety, and I think that the maps right now, especially Mirage, Cage, it's getting stale. We're not seeing anything new.
Yeah, Cash is definitely, I think, one of the ECS streams I watched recently, I think it was also like the FaZe versus Pro game. DDK said literally, Cash has been solved. Like, he wasn't saying it like about the map, he was just talking about how people play. But the thing is, Cash has been solved. Like, whatever you do, there's whatever the T does, there's a CT counter reaction. There's like a defined starting point. Like, what do you do with your utility? You throw the molly on the boost and they extinguish it with smoke. Then if they're doing this, if they're taking main as CT, then you have to do something else. If they're doing like deep B control, then you're doing like a setup with. There are like so many variables, but all of them are kind of, you do this, there's a clear anti-play to that. So as you said, I think Cash is like mega stale and pretty, even though it's interesting for like new players, maybe it's for Pogs it's great because people know what to do. I think it's similar to Cobblestone at the end. It was just for the CTs, it's not that interesting, can't really do that much. Seems like whatever you're doing is just a very small bonus that you can get as a CT, and then the Ts can just get the map control and do whatever they want. Executes are so easy, so good. I don't know. I think it's definitely the map that needs to be moved out as soon as possible.
My problem with that would be just like generally having a lot more maps and just to rotate them in would be just generally do we really have that many options, or like are there really map makers that know what they're doing in terms of like how competitive a map is going to be, how balanced and things like that, how many options there are? Like they won't know until some of these pro teams actually play the maps, right? So for the switches to happen like as often as you were suggesting, we would need to be sure that those maps are ready for competitive play. And that's the biggest issue with it that I have, because like we saw like, okay, Cobble and Overpass actually worked out, I think, quite well. Apart from like all the like different boosts that ended up getting removed, basically.
I mean, both of them were heavily changed from the original version.
Well, yes, they were, but they were still, even before the changes, they were still working. Like, sure, there were still balances, like Overpass with the A site being changed quite a lot.
The first Cobblestone was literally shit. I mean,
I'm
if you remember how
like,
big
the
B bomb site used
that's
to
right.
be.
The outside area of the B bombs, like the back area of the B bomb site was really stupid. That's true. Just trying to remember like what the actual changes were. But I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? With these new maps, like you don't know what's a stupid area or how that's going to work, because like we haven't seen anybody serious play it, right? So that's the problem that I would have like with more maps coming in, is just that they would take a lot of time before they actually became like well balanced or like well thought out and competitive without any of these like shenanigan type plays possible that are just like gonna get removed the second that people find out about it. That's the issue that I would have with just more maps coming in, that we don't really have the quality there.
So if the communication was clear that it was going to change, for example, after the major, um, I was suggesting 2 maps at a time, which is my ideal play, right? Obviously, that's not a right now kind of thing. I couldn't even think of maps like you're saying that could slot in right now and take the role of some of these. But with the cache update coming in from FM Pwn, obviously it's going to revitalize the map, and maybe there'll be a cool few little changes. I know that that hard wall over towards A, so you've got the truck, and then you've got the wall, then you've got the bomb site. That wall is going to be curved, so that's going to change the dynamic with retakes on that site. There's lots of different pieces there that will be different, so they're cool to keep in mind. But I've actually actively, no joke, and it sounds ridiculous, but I've actively been trying to play as much of Biome, Abbey. I think Zoo is bad. Biome, Abbey, and the new Cobble as much as possible, because I think that I don't think that they're going to get put into the map pool, but I wanted to see if there was a chance that would make sense for them to be put into the map pool. I think that the bomb site layouts of Abbey, both bomb sites themselves, are laid out very nicely. I think it makes for good post-plant situations, good ways to defend. There's maybe too many corridors over towards that A bomb site. I think it's the A bomb site. Yeah, I think so. I forget. Anyway, I think middle has a cool dynamic about it. The CTs can play it. They don't have to be all in like a map like Cage. They can pick it. They can fall. They can play between either connector. I just think that if Counter-Strike stays with the same 7 to 8 maps for such a long period of time, like it is right now, it's not giving anything. It's not forcing the minds of Counter-Strike to be more creative, right? That's a problem I have. Whereas new maps, when they come in, sure, there's a figuring out period. But that's kind of cool. Who's got the bigger brain? Who's going to come up with the nerdiest smoke? Who's going to work out the pacings, the strategies, the holds? Who is going to define the meta? And that, for me, is a very big talking point. And I'm sure we'd all be happy if a Tuscan clone, call it whatever you want, name it Tuscan backwards, call it fucking CPL Hill. I don't give a fuck what you call it. But the layout and the way that map played was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that map. But that was back in 1.6 days, when a lot of maps were heavily CT bias. Inferno, 11 4s. You had trains, you're looking at 12 3s. You've got nukes. That's a fucking lockout on the CT side. And people are like, oh, that's shit. It's not shit. Your brain is shit if you think that's shit. You don't want every map to be the same. You don't want every map to be 8, 7, 9, 6 halves. That's ridiculous. It doesn't show anything different. What you want is the maps to be differently tactically diverse. If you were able to get more than 3 rounds on nuke in the days of 1.6 and Source on the T side, holy shit. You've really worked hard for that, and there's something special about that, right? There's something unique to be able to have maps where you have to grind real hard, or a clutch situation, or if you know that the bar is only 3 to 4 rounds, and this team, they win a clutch to get 5, or they win a big clutch to get 6, like holy shit, they're fucking doing it, and it really changes the way that maps are viewed. Whereas if every map is equal, it's less exciting for me. I like having contested rounds and contested games, but I don't think having every map as a 50-50 is the way forward.
I think the one thing I would be looking at if that was the case, if we had more like balanced maps, is whether pistol rounds would work the same way, right? Because if they were still like somewhat 50-50, even though the map overall was really, really, really like CT heavy, then you would have a problem with then you don't really have those comebacks possible. Like the second you lose the pistol in the second half, like you're down 3-12, you lose the pistol in the second half, you still lose. So if you don't have like a reliable pistol on the stronger half, that's whichever half is favored strongly on that map, then you just lose the match, right? So that's the only issue that I have with it, because in 1.6 particularly, which is the maps that you were talking about, where the CT was super super heavy, there you had very very CT favorite pistols as well. So if that doesn't happen like with some of these maps, so that I see as an issue, right? You understand what I mean? Huh?
I didn't play 1.6.
Yeah.
I can't really.
But it's just like the thing is that in 1.6, I feel like it was still the pistols were fairly favored towards whatever the map was favored overall. to whichever side of the map was favored.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't happen with CSGO as well, where the pistols are a lot more 50-50, whereas in 1.6 it was just generally pistols were very CT favored. So that's the problem that I would have with that. Because at this point, CS is just like fairly random pistols. I feel like nobody has really figured out a way to play pistols on any side consistently, right?
I think we had this discussion before. I definitely had it with someone. The term random used in this environment. Are you using it in a negative way about pistols? Like, do you say like random being bad?
No, I'm just saying that there's like you don't really have any reliable like default way to play pistols, right? You still have to come up with like a lot of different strategies, like switch things up, maybe stack a bomb site as CT, take a bit of a gamble or just like play a certain way. You have to come up with like a lot of different things. While in 1.6 I felt like you didn't really have to do that. Like you had like an inherent bias. So and that's why CS is the way it is with pistols, a little bit more 50-50. So that's kind of the thinking I have there. I don't think it's bad that it's random, that it's more 50-50, not at all.
I think that it's actually is quite a good way to start the game, right? Because even if you are an underdog and the pistol round is a 50-50 round, I see that as the perfect way to start a game, because that's the opening progressing point. I would like to go into a match, no matter who I play for, no matter what team I'm in, thinking that I have a 50% chance of winning the pistol round, and not off of gambling or like RNG of the guns, because I don't think that that is what factors in here. But as you're mentioning, people take a lot more risks on pistol rounds. They stack bomb sites, they do all-ins with the Glocks. There's people who play really slow with the Glocks and do fakes, and we see like Furia using a lot of utility on their T-side pistol rounds, for example.
Yep.
CT's going for armor pushes and going all in. I think that there's so much variation and versatility on the pistol round, and the fact that it is unique, that it's cool, and I like that, and I think that that's a positive sign in Counter-Strike. I just think that this is why I bring up the map topic, is the variation. We already get it in pistol rounds. Anybody can win a pistol round. We've just covered that topic. Well, not everybody, but within reason. With the maps, right now, and I'm not saying I don't want Astralis to be the best. And I hate using this word, but they definitely deserve to be the best. They play the best Counter-Strike, right? They should be the best. The way that they approach the game, they should be the best, and they are. But if you add a variation to the map pool every 6 months, it would force them to work harder. I'm not saying they don't work hard. I think they work very hard. But if you changed out Nuke was gone, well, they don't have that crutch anymore to nobody has to ban Nuke against them anymore because it's not in the pool. Or if Inferno's not in the pool, another map they're super strong at is gone. And it might be more competitive in that sense. And it's just something that I thought might have been a bit of an interesting one. But because you're right, we don't have enough maps that can be tested at a decent caliber of level. One, because of too many tournaments. Two, because the pickup game systems, as Face It and ESEA, don't do what we used to do back in the day, which was have the more fun maps in the pool, right? You used to have CPL Fire, CPL Mill, CPL Strike, and you play them for fun.
Even if they have them, they just get banned out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're right. They do. The people don't want to play them for whatever reason. So it has to be a top down. It has to be some form of communication, and I don't think we'll ever get there. But before we
go, for what did I want to say? I want to say something. I've totally lost now with this last thing. I totally lost my train of thought. But the thing, what you mentioned about adding two maps, like adding one map, that is for sure going to happen sooner or later. But the problem there is what you mentioned. People can just ban it out and then ignore it as it doesn't exist. But at the same time, a lot of teams still have a permaban. So it's either playing their permaban or playing the new map, which then you kind of get it into the rotation somehow. Even though it's a lot slower than if you introduce two new maps, then you really have to work on the new maps, and new maps will get played. And only when they get played will they get improved on. And that's, I think, something that's necessary. And also, you didn't mention the best map that needs to be added: the canals in Venice. Pretty
I
nice.
haven't played canals. So
the Mediterranean.
I'm sure that it's probably a wonderful map, but it's one that I'm going to have to get
at all?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I like they updated it quite a few times. They updated it a lot of times, and that's why I kind of felt that the map could actually be coming into the whenever. What is the last map we added? Dustune? Yeah. I thought that maybe they would be adding canals as well, because so many updates were coming up at one point. And now the map is actually kind of decent. Feels like a normal map. there's kind of some weird small corridor areas, but maybe that's something that will be unique to it. Maybe shotguns and stuff like that will be more viable on that map because of those narrow corridors or something like that. I think it's a map that could be, if we throw it in and then maybe update it a few times, I think it could be a decent map as well. Just like Overpass and Cobblestone were, not Cobblestone's always shit. Never mind. Overpass.
We've got come to the end of our questions relatively quickly this evening, but if anybody in chat has any good questions, I also had some come through on Twitter earlier. We might just grab these ones before we round out our evening here.
NIP is making a comeback, by the way.
Yeah.
They won a round with Rez Zeusing a guy, and Lekro just hitting a wonderful 1D, just a full eco almost.
It's 12-12 now.
I think they didn't lose a single round.
That was 12-6. I think it was 12-6.
They lost around in there somewhere if you look at the bar at the top.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So it was 11-6 maybe. But
yeah,
either way,
okay.
Easy reset.
These questions that I had to come in, let's see if anybody's asked anything good on the Twitter sphere. Okay, I'm not sure if Golfer Dude Dan is here, but he did pose a question, and we can probably get this done quite succinctly. I'll probably throw this one your way, Striker.
Yeah.
For the show, I'm new to following CS. What makes Astralis so much better than teams before? I read of people saying, well, what about NIP or other teams from the past?
Oh,
nice
you mean how they
from
compare?
new fans.
So the question is how they compare, or what? How should I take this?
I guess the context of this is, why are Astralis the best we've ever seen compared to the likes of NIP?
How they compare? I mean, just looking at the way they play together, their team play is basically the best that we've ever seen. Like, we have never seen anybody have the same level of team play before, and that's the most basic answer I can tell you for that. And it's just like you can look into any sort of detail that is there in Counter-Strike, and they're basically like one of the best teams at it. Like, whether it's trading or whether it's utility usage or whether it's like setups, whether it's just trying to rotations. It's just all of these like aspects of the game. They basically are the best that we've ever seen in any of these aspects of the game. So that's kind of why they just do everything better than everybody we've seen before. That's what it comes down to.
And they can also shoot heads pretty decently.
They're very good individually too.
Like a big or someone like a flip side, like a tactical team that did all of the tactics, all of the team play that they could, just because they didn't have the firepower. So they kind of wanted to balance that out with these things, because Astralis has the firepower as well. Maybe not the best firepower in the world if you just look at the players and their raw ability to move the mouse and hit headshots, but their raw ability is pretty good as well. And then they have everything that the Striker said.
What it comes down to is basically they seem to know the ideal way to get out of any situation, and it feels like almost like miraculous how they come up with these solutions to certain rounds, that, or even to any given round, almost like that they win. Basically, is just them knowing exactly what they need to do to win the round. Of course, it doesn't work all the time. Like they just can't guess everything correctly. They just, like, other teams are good as well. You can't really look at it. Nobody can win 16-0 all the time. I mean, we've seen Astralis do it a few times this year, but I mean, over the past year at least. But it's just they just seem to know more than they are supposed to. I don't want to say that because then people will think they're cheating or whatever. But from the outside looking in, it almost looks like they know more than they're supposed to know from the information that is around the map. It almost looks like they do have some sort of help, but it's just not true, obviously.
Just a very cohesive unit of a team that's on the same page and functioning at near perfection. So this one we'll throw your way, Prof. This one is from Matthew McGonaway, a little bit of a funny fella. He has said, or he has asked, how do you hope Hellraisers end up? What's a good and or plausible lineup they can get? And if they want to compete for top 10, what do they need? Considering Dead Fox is out, Woxic might be. I'm going to probably go ahead and say that's 99%. Hell, even Angel could go to Na'Vi. How many times has this been issued? So let's break this down. First of all, not how do you hope Hellraisers are going to end up, how do you think Hellraisers are going to
I just want to touch on the match. 14-12, Guardian gets run boosted Ivy, gets 2 kills. easy life for Slovakian god.
It was a pretty cool play.
Nice play. And this is going like the mega distance. Touching on that was before the show. We were thinking about topics, and I'm like, are we gonna mention Hellraisers? I have no idea what's going to go on. Let's just ignore Hellraiser. Let's hope that doesn't pop up, because that's kind of a pretty shit situation for them. Because they lost Voxic, which is their main firepower player Opper as well. Dead Fox is out, kind of okay, whatever. What they can do, actually, I was thinking about the best possibility. There are some rumors about LMBT coming back, so they can get LMBT, they can get Sticko, they can get Oscar, and they can almost reform. They can even maybe get Bondic back from Gambit. I don't know if he's on a long-term contract or not. Get all of them together, reform the old lineup, -0, I guess, plus Isa. That's actually a lineup that could theoretically happen, even though I kind of doubt that they would get Oscar again. But at the same time, they don't have a better option. That's the best option that they can get, even though Oscar is Oscar and maybe not the most reliable player in the world.
Did you just see what Draken did? He just hit somebody. Basically, like, it was one of those things where on Reddit you have like that 30 degree angle that he never hits, and anything beyond that he hits. He literally just had a crosshair on a guy and killed the guy next to him in a smoke. I think Raid was I hope there's going to be a replay on that, because like I don't understand how that even happened. Because there were two people standing next to each other, basically. One in a smoke, one not in a smoke. And Draken was aiming at the guy not in the smoke, obviously, and killed the guy in the smoke. That was like slightly off. I don't know what happened.
Is Rez gonna clutch this?
Oh my god, Rez wins. What the fuck?
Oh, that was close. I feel like Dren actually got Adrian.
Dren had an easy free kill, but just like with the first 5 bullets or something.
Oh well. Felt like he almost got flashed by that.
It's almost the game.
His own flash?
Like, I feel like that flash. That was pretty. Yeah.
No,
I mean, he was 1 HP.
No, all right. Somebody called Uzi with a U literally just followed me to ask the question, what happened to Electronic? Now, I don't have any context for this question. He's had a child and he's married, so that's about it on a personal level.
I love how he's like the youngest guy in that team. Only guy.
No, Zeus has a kid.
I don't think. Does he have a kid?
I've seen the kid on the Instagram stories all the time.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. He does.
Follow Instagram player.
Well, there you go. See, this is how I stay up to date with all the juicy goss. I follow their Instagram and look at them posting pictures at the gym and flexing in their cars.
I mean, Dennis has a kid,
FNX
doesn't he?
hitting the gym. Dennis?
Yeah.
Dennis hunts. Yeah. Do you say that?
What?
You say he hunts?
No, that he has a kid.
Oh,
I know he hunts. That's something I do know.
He has a hunting Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah, because people are very upset because he was hunting. Like, why are you killing animals? I mean, I'm not a fan of that either, but whatever. Not going to get into that discussion.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
You can just not follow the guy. You don't have to agree with everything he does in his life.
Could make it very
Trocky in the chat is asking, what do talent like myself do when there's not a tournament on? Well, I normally sit at home and play.
Those 5 days a year.
I play Counter-Strike when I'm not at events, and I just try and chill out. I don't really do much. I'll answer emails, I'll send some invoices, I'll do some podcasts, I'll try and get in the sun, and that's about it. People who are mentally insane like myself, there's still a few of us who do literally every tournament of the year out of choice. It's a choice. It's just because we just love it. So we don't really do a lot when we're not working, and we play games. Star Ladder, I'm here at WSG right now, and they've hooked me up with a PC in my room, so I've actually been gaming every night after the broadcast. So there's more games. I know that seems sad, but that's life. You
have to wake up pretty early though, don't you?
That's Halvor and Tom Biz. They got to get up early, whereas me and Stunner, we get the midday shift, so it's not too bad. Yeah, it's okay. But unless we have any final topics that you guys want to bring up, or any last poignant questions coming in from the chat, we're going to shut this bad boy down. I'm going to count to 10 in my head, give chat the time to catch on up, and we'll see what happens. Nothing's happening.
What did I want to touch on? Yeah. For Blast, we're not going to preview Blast because we're going to have another show before Blast. And on that show we're gonna be doing something new with a new feature, new thing gonna be revealed on HLTV, and I know a lot of people are gonna like it.
Yep.
You're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it. You've been asking for it for a long time, and it's gonna be fun. So that's probably something we're gonna be having as a more what do I say? Like every time, when you have it every time as a small feature of the show.
It'll be a recurring segment.
Yes, that's the word.
And
what do you think about?
Hmm?
What do you think about shocks at Blast Pro? Yoks.
We're just doing we're doing anime crossovers at the moment. Alex went and did some League of Legends. Shocks is coming to do some Counter-Strike.
One thing, on one hand, like when I think about it as a human being, I understand why these things are happening. But on like the idealistic side of me is like, why are we having the best CS:GO host go and do League of Legends, and then I don't know if she's the best League of Legends host, but one of them certainly coming over to do CS. Like in an ideal world, everyone would just do their own thing and be better at that one thing instead of moving to different titles, be forced to learn all the players, all the whole game, and do the job that way.
Yeah,
but then you say the other side of the coin.
Well, I wasn't going to give. I was just going to say I can see that, but I think the host role is the most versatile role, right? And if you have someone new come in, they'll have a new repertoire of questions or a different view on things, which may get different flow. With League of Legends, for all of you playing at home, I don't know how 100% correct this is, but a lot of their stuff is scripted. What we do in the Counter-Strike world is ad lib. We just fucking get up there. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We just fucking start talking. So I think that it'd be cool to have someone new asking me questions. Machine's going to be actually casting at that event as well, which is cool. I know everybody likes to hear his commentary, but it's exciting. You know, that's about it. I'm in a position where I get to take part in all this fun stuff. So I'm looking forward to another event.
I mean, I'm definitely curious as to how she's gonna do, because I've never seen her outside of League of Legends. I did follow League of Legends for quite a while, so I know her fairly well, and then how skillful she is in the role, because she is very good at the job. It's just like, obviously we don't know how her CS:GO knowledge is, and that's always a problem with like new people coming in CS:GO and how they're going to be accepted from that point on. But I feel like Blast Sao Paulo is going to be a pretty is going to be I'm not going to say a tough premiere, but it's just going to be a premiere for her that's probably going to tell a lot of the community how she's going to do in CS:GO generally.
At the same time, it's not like you're going to be watching that many analyst desks at Blast, because they have 3 matches going on at the same time.
It's fairly
so
quick.
They have like very small windows where they actually are at the desk. Not going to be like the toughest role. I feel like it's probably the best way. Imagine doing something like a WESG or something where you have massive delays and you have to fill for an hour. That's a tough way to start off as a host in CS. This, I think, will be kind of okay, and I think she'll be well accepted, because just based on the Reddit threads so far and all of that.
I haven't actually seen how much like people are like excited for that, because I just haven't seen any of those threads.
It was front page yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't read through it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've just been staying away from the socials.
Interesting bit of news is, even though it's not like that big, that Barbar is retiring from competitive play. I feel like just because he's kind of a long-standing member of the CS scene, played in 1.6, played in CS:GO, and in CS:GO he had this kind of interesting role as someone that played with all these young kids that are now not on the top of the Swedish scene for some reason, probably because of themselves, but at least they're there. Rez, Drake, and Freddy B, Disco Doppelin all played with him in that Epsilon team, and then he played in Existent Galaxy with the new guys, Nock, Plopsky, Zinkin. So he went through all of them. He's now saying he's not good enough to play individually anymore, but he's open to coaching and open to being a manager and stuff like that. So do we think that he has a spot somewhere in some team?
I think it's hard with Swedish. I know that he's played with the international rosters and stuff, but I think it's hard in the Swedish scene at the moment. And I think coaching is a difficult position as well for a lot of people, because you need someone to vouch for you to take a chance. That's kind of how this thing works at the moment. There's no way to know if you're a good coach until you do it. And to be picked up by a team, that's usually going to come from like scouting of the players, or somebody who trusts you and has been in-game led by you in the past. So unfortunately, because he hasn't had an opportunity to play in the upper echelons, if he is to get a role like that, it will be with a team that may or may not be that skilled, meaning it's even harder to make a dent. So it's a problem, and I guess this is the ugly side of esports in a way. Not everybody makes it. There's a lot of people who want to give it a crack, and he gave it a really good shot, and never really had any breaks go his way. So it's an unfortunate time for Baba.
Just got a question on Twitch. Overtime 10k versus 16k. My solution is neither, and just have like per round money, basically. That you have like a cap of like 6k per player or whatever. That you can't buy like multiple ops and have like all the utility you want.
I mean, you can if you survive, and you still have enough to buy an op and drop.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, you basically like
get reset every round.
Yeah,
right?
you just get reset completely. It's not like you gain any money or lose any money. You just like have a set amount of money for every round.
But then
basically.
You have to lose your equipment or what? But
yeah,
because if you survive with 5 players, then you can just buy extra ops because you have 6k.
Well,
again.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like maybe they will just like reset completely. There was just like no guns, no utility, nothing. You just lose everything after every round. Because like my thinking on overtime is like, and this is basically we've already seen all the economy wars and everything like that, and that hasn't worked to just determine the result of the game, right? That hasn't been enough, basically. So you have to go into something different. So I feel like economy should not play a factor in that anymore in overtimes. Let's just see people play it out with like guns and not see ecos in overtimes. That's the biggest problem. Like I feel like those 10k situations.
Are you gonna finish or not? Stop taking these pauses.
Well, it's just you come in before I like make up my mind. But it's just these 10k situations where the third you lose 2 rounds in a row, and the third round you basically are eco, or like you have pistols. It's just that's something I don't want to see in overtime. It's shit.
I think like ecos are bad, but I still want people to be forced to save or play as a normal round. It's not someone is in a 1v4, he's gonna go in and YOLO, and because he has nothing to lose. Then the whole meta of overtime is different than the meta of the real game, and it will probably make some people. There will be some awkward situations where you're in your minds like, okay, this guy has nothing to do here, he's gonna go save, but then he is not saving, he's going for the round because he has nothing to lose in overtime, and then 2 rounds before that he would have something to lose, and then he would save. So that's kind of my thinking.
I think what we could do is look to adjust either the loss bonus, or adjust the start money to like 12,000 and something. So like it works out mathematically that if you invest in like M4 armor, diffuse kit, Molotov, and full nades, that you'd be able to do that 3 rounds in a row. But if you want to be the player who goes for the AWP, then you have to make a few more sacrifices. There's probably a way to balance that out. But yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can definitely delve into that. Some math wizards out there could probably work it out. I think that the 10k and 16k aren't the spot on. Neither of them are good.
I think even if you leave 10k and just boost the first, like the loss bonus, because the only real issue is if you're on the CT side, if it's MR6 and you lose the first 2 rounds, then the third round you have nothing. So if you just boost the losing bonus, just like now when you lose the pistol, you don't get 1,400, you get 1,800. So if instead of 1.9, no, it's actually the stream. Someone's talking on the stream, so I thought someone said something.
No,
so
I did say 1.9.
1.9. Okay, yeah. So if you just boost that to like 2.5 or something, so if you lose 2 in a row, then you'll have enough to buy in the last round. That's kind of okay.
Yeah,
I mean, just generally, the main problem is like we want to get rid of ecos and overtimes, and we want to get rid of like ridiculous 3-op setups that don't punish anyone in the 16k scenario, right? So that's basically what we're looking at as the ideal option.
This phase game right here could be a good example, right? If you guys are still watching that phase right now in overtime on the CT side, they lose this round, obviously this is bad because they didn't win that first half of overtime. But basically, if they lose the first gun round, and then they lose 3 players on the second gun round, come the third, even if they win the second, they're still not going to be able to get a full buy going. So there are a couple of problems with it. But regardless, it's 10 o'clock. Actually, it's 11 o'clock? No, the time's correct on SBC. Never mind. It's 10 o'clock.
I mean,
it's
for you,
11
it is
for me.
11.
It's time for everybody to go drink a nice hot tea, sit down in bed, watch the Counter-Strike, have a rest, and tune in next Monday, I believe Lucas said. We'll be kicking off the episode 11, and we'll have some new elements in the show for everybody. And also, there's an anchor.fm link to the podcast. Striker, what is it?
It's just anchor.fm/HLTV. That's it.
Right. Head over there, check them out, download them. You can listen to them on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, fucking anything that you can think of. The link's there, thanks to Lucas. Head over, get them in ya, have a good time, and we'll see you in episode 11.